is straightforward. Establish 16 as the minimum age for the creation of social media accounts.
You heard that right. That was the Liberal convention that took place in Montreal this weekend. And the Liberals adopted a motion, non-binding motion, that individuals, kids and teens under the age of 16 should not be on social media. Today, we break down what that means exactly. Welcome to the Political Orphans. My name is Nicolagan, and my co-host for the day, Payman Ascari. Welcome aboard, brother.
Well, thank you for having me.
Yeah, man. So this is something I talk about all the time. My number one priority with Canada is not to be censored. I want free speech because it is the number one thing that we have. There's a good reason why the First and Second Amendment in the US is free speech and the guns to take back your freedom of speech if the government ever takes it away from you. That's the First and Second Amendment in layman's term. And when I hear liberals trying to go after social media, trying to ban social media in the name of our children, because that is basically what they're saying. They're saying that our children need to be protected. Thus, they need to protect them. And in order to do that, we need to ban them from social media. So tonight we break it down. I'm going to break it all down for you, what it actually means and why we need to be very, very careful about what they want to put in place. And you know, the scary part about this is that Canadians are asking for this. This is the part that blows my mind the most. So let's get right into it. The video I showed you that I just showed as an introduction is literally 30 seconds long. I showed you about 6 seconds of it. I want to show you the rest. And then I'm going to break it down point by point because she mentions 4 things in 30 seconds that really needs to be explained, that needs to be addressed. Because for most Canadians that don't understand the implication, everything she says sounds good. They know what they're doing. They're not stupid. They know exactly what they're doing. So let's listen to Rachel Bendaya, which she is an MP for Outremont, if I remember correctly, which is in Montreal. So listen to her when her policy resolution was adopted yesterday.
Our approach is straightforward. Establish 16 as the minimum age for the creation of social media accounts. Require platforms to implement effective age verification. Reduce the addictive design features and strengthen protections against cyberbullying and against deepfakes. Over 3/4 of Canadians support this kind of measure, according to a recent poll. This is not a fringe idea. It is mainstream expectations. Thank you. Our approach is straightforward. Establish 16 as the minimum age for the creation of social media accounts.
Hold on here. There you go. So we don't need to hear her more, but let's break down what she just said, because she made a couple of points that really needs to be addressed. And let's take them one by one and actually make sense of it all. So first and foremost, what she said. She said that hold on, let me show up here. Perfect. So first thing that she wants to do is let's address the require platforms to implement an effective age verification. That's number 1. Number 2, reduce the addictive design feature. Number 3, strengthen protection against cyberbullying and against deep fakes. And then she mentions that over 3/4 of Canadians support this kind of measure, according to a recent poll. So those were her words. So let's break it down. Let's see if what she says is actually true and if we can make sense of it. So we'll start with the easiest one to address, which is reduce the addictive design feature. I can tell you, as someone that comes from the tech world, this is never going to happen. This is what social media are based on. It's never going to happen. And the truth of the matter is, she doesn't even know what that means. She doesn't even understand what she's asking. Why do you think she just said reduce the addictive design feature? Because she has no clue what she's asking. Number two, they're asking about platforms requirements and effective age verification. So they basically want the social media platform to implement an effective age verification. How do you do that? Again, I come from the telecommunication world, and I worked as a sales engineer for over 12 years and a technician for over 8. So I build the type of infrastructure that social media companies use. And the only way to do this is by asking every single Canadian out there to verify their age. That's it. That's the only way. You're going to have to ask every single Canadian to prove that they are 16 or over. How do you do that? By asking every single person that wants to go on social media to show an ID, to show a government approved ID. That's the only way to do it. This means that anybody in Canada that wants to go on social media will accept to attach their name to their social media accounts. Think about it for a second. Think about the implication of what that means. To have to put your name to all your social media accounts. And the part that really needs to be emphasized is the fact that they can do it right now. Let's all agree that the government, if they really want to do this, if they really want to find out what social media accounts you're using online, they can find this. But by you accepting the new terms and conditions that those social media platforms will have, you're basically giving that information for free to the government. Sorry, not to the government yet, to social media platforms. You're telling them that, you know what, here's my identity. It's yours to do whatever you want with it. Number three, she talked about strengthening protection against cyberbullying and against deep fakes. What does that mean exactly? So what does cyberbullying mean exactly? As per dictionary.com, cyberbullying is the practice of bullying a person by sending messages or posting social media content of an intimidating, mocking, or threatening nature. So basically what they're saying, words. So the government will be requiring social media platforms to police words, meaning police speech, your speech, my speech. Who do you think is going to decide what is acceptable and what is not acceptable? Our government. Not only that, but they also mentioned deep fakes. What creates deep fakes? AI bots like ChatGPT, Gemini, Grok. Claude does not create deepfakes, but ChatGPT, Gemini, and Grok. Who's been talking against the government a lot recently, or for the past few years? Elon Musk. Who's always getting in trouble for deepfakes? Groks. Grok gets in trouble. What is Grok attached to? It's attached to X. So by policying Grok, you're policying X. So they're talking about policying social media platforms. They're talking about policying all the AI bots out there, which means that all the interactions that we have with those bots. I know, Payman, you use ChatGPT. What's going to happen now? The government, those platforms will have to monitor what you're saying in order to see if what you're saying is appropriate. By which standard? The government's. This is the reality that we're talking about here. This is the door that we're opening by allowing our government to decide who can and cannot go on social media. And the worst part out of all of this, she mentioned something that should blow your mind because it is accurate. It is unfortunately accurate. Let's start with just the comments. So the video I showed you is from the Instagram platform, from the woman that you saw at the Liberal Convention presenting this new non-binding It's not a policy agreement, non-binding. There was a term for it. How did she? No, she called it a resolution. That's it. That's the term. Just look at the comments. Bravo, Rachel. They're happy. Bravo. Thank you for all your work on this. Sharing this with parents of young children who works in tech and strongly agree with the goals of this motion. I agree with everything except for the age verification, because she doesn't want, that person doesn't want that information in the hands of the government and social media platforms. So you have one person that seems to have a head on their shoulders, but people are asking for this. And she mentioned 75%, that there was a poll that just came out that indicated that 3/4 of Canadians wanted this. And you know, the worst part is that she's right. You're looking at the poll right here. It was a poll that was made by Angus Reid Institute. It was released on March 29th. And look at this right here. This is what she was referring to. Support versus oppose. If you look at all respondents, 75% of Canadians, and as per the information that's presented, those Canadians are parents, because it says at the bottom, have kids 10 to 15 older in the house. 10 to 17 oldest child in the house. So basically, they have children. So those are not just, because I know you don't have any kids, Payman, but there are people like old that have kids older than mine that responded to this, and we're looking 75% of respondents are for social media bans. Only 18% oppose it, and 7%. There's more people that don't know what to think about this than there are people that strongly oppose social media bans. So she's absolutely right. What she said is absolutely correct. People are asking for this. You just look at her, you look at the comments on her social media, you look at the polls, the poll from Angus Reid that I just showed you. People want this. But this is the information that we know. This is the information that you can find if you start digging up. But what really matters is what this means for Canadians. What does it mean for you at home? What does it mean? Remember when I said earlier about age verification, that in order to implement a age verification platform, you will require everyone to prove that they are over a certain age, in this case, 16 and over. The only way you can do that is by having users show a government-approved ID. Have you heard, Payman, do you know about Bill C-22? The new bill that was tabled in December? So, actually, it wasn't tabled in December. That bill, I believe, was tabled this year, but it is in not in committee. It is in the House of Commons as we speak right now. But there's a bill by the name of C-22, the Supporting Authorized Access to Information Act. Federal legislation aimed at updating legal frameworks for law enforcement and CSIS to access online information. It introduces new warrantless, without a warrant, demands and expands investigation powers for digital data balancing, say supporters, public safety with privacy. This was taken from Canada.ca. What I just read you, this is from the government website. So it is not somebody like me that tried to interpret what they said. That is their words on Canada.ca. If you look, I can show it to you just so that I can prove that I'm not a liar. I will show you exactly where it came from. Here it is right now. I'm just going to bring it up just to, hold on. Is that the one? Oh, I did not copy. Is that not the right one? Nope, right here. My apologies. Right here is, I just want you guys to see that this comes from the government. I just want to make sure that I show my sources that I use when I do my research, but here is exactly where I'm taking my information from. It also stipulates that the bill focuses solely on ensuring that electronic service providers, ESPs, are able to comply with existing legal orders which are found in the Criminal Code and the Canadian Security Intelligence Service Act. If you look, this is just the explanation, like this is just the backgrounder. But if you look at the bill itself and you go to section 52D of Bill C-22, it will require companies like Bell, Rogers, Telus, Videotron, and others to install equipment that will sniff all the information that goes through their network and retain specific categories of metadata such as transmission data, location info, and device identifier for a period up to 1 year, and that without a warrant. What did I just say? Transmission data, meaning every single piece of information that enters their network or leaves their network, which is your traffic. Location information, where did that come from? And they will also look at where it's going. Device identifier, that means there's an identifier. There's what we call a MAC address, which is a single identifier for every single piece of equipment that can go online. This has a specific MAC address, a specific address that can be tracked back to me. Same thing for your laptop. It literally means anything. Absolutely anything that goes on the internet will have an identifier. And if Bill C-22 becomes a reality, it will force ISPs, internet service provider, they call them now electronic service providers, to keep all that information up to 1 year. Keep that in mind because it really matters. It's important for this part. Our government wants social media platforms to police our speech in the name of cyberbullying. Which framework do you think that they're going to use to do that? Remember Bill C-9 that criminalizes emotions, that defines what a hate speech is and adds it to the criminal code? That just became reality, right? This was rushed through committee. They literally canceled the last debates, the last presentations in committee. They rushed it through the House of Comment, and now it is going to be debated in the Senate. Unfortunately, 95% of the Senate members were chosen by Trudeau. So you know that it's just a matter of time before that bill becomes law, gets assent, gets royal assent, and becomes law. And then there's one more piece of the puzzle. So what did we say? Bill C-22. We talked about Bill C-9. There's one more bill that should scare the hell out of you. Have you read Bill C-8, Payman?
Yes, C8 and C9, but refresh my memory.
Bill C-8 is the act respecting cybersecurity. And if you look at section 15.2, 1A and 1B, it states that the Minister of Industry, which is Mélanie Joly, would have the power to prohibit telecommunication companies like Bell, Rogers, Telus, Videotron, and others to provide any service to any specified person and direct them to suspend any service to any specified person, all in the name of the security of the Canadian telecom system. That means that our government could order telecommunication companies to remove our access to the internet, either suspend our internet access or prevent them from selling it to you. So basically, they could cancel my internet service that I have right now. Let's say I'm with Bell. They cancel my Bell. I go to Rogers, I go to Telus, I go to Videotron. They have an order in their system not to sell to me. So they can literally kick me off the internet. And here's the reality for the people out there, is that I think we can all agree that social media is terrible for kids and even adults. But the responsibility falls on us, the parents, to deal with our children, not the government. What do you think is going to happen if the same government who used the Emergency Act illegally and unconstitutionally during the Freedom Convoy and froze people's bank accounts, what do you think they're going to do if they get that type of power? Can you imagine what would have happened during the Freedom Convoy if they had that type of power? It would have been crushed from the get-go. You would have seen hundreds, if not thousands of people get their internet access simply removed, get visit from the police for hate speech because they would have dared to speak against their governments. But those are the tools that our government is trying to get right now. And if they do get it, they will literally turn Canada into a censored and surveillance state. So just quick recap for you guys. We really need to pay close attention to this, and we cannot let this happen. Because have you seen what's going on in Ireland right now? They're kind of using the Freedom Convoy that we had 4 years ago. They're kind of turning it. They're kind of using the same tactics in order to try to address their fuel problem, but we all know that they have a massive amount of mass immigration there, especially from the Muslim population that they don't want there. So they're trying to get something done. They're trying to force the hand of the government. So we need to pay attention to what's going on in Ireland, because it's going to tell us what will happen to us next time we do try to stand up to a government. But social media with Bill C9 will allow them to police not only our speech online, but our conversation with AI chatbots. If a user breaks these new laws under Bill C9, the social media platforms and AI chatbots will have to report it to the government. Then police are going to show up to your house to intimidate you, just like they do in the UK. And actually, they started doing it right here in Canada. Have you seen the video that went viral with that woman in Toronto that got the visit of the police at the beginning of March? And what do you think is going to happen if you don't listen? If you just continue posting whatever you want on social media? Not only can they shut down your account, they can arrest you and charge you under Bill C9 for hate crime. And through Bill C8, they can cut your internet access because you are a threat to Canada. This is the door that we open with banning social media. It sounds like a stretch. I don't know if it sounds like a stretch to you. Hopefully, I showed you how this is actually, unfortunately, possible and in their power. But, Payman, what do you think about everything I just told you? Because this is a reality that we need to face in Canada. This is coming. This is absolutely coming, and the government is preparing. They're positioning all their tools. They're getting all the tools that they need independently in order to be able to censor us. How does that sound to you?
I guess I could start off with something a little bit funny. When I was a little bit younger, me and my friend, we got really drunk and we're hungover, and my friend turns to me and he says, "Man, the government should really ban alcohol. Like, it should be illegal to drink." You know, he was joking. But this bill that this Bendayan MP, she's put forward, everyone agrees with that. You know, social media is rotting people's brains. Parents want their kids to be on it less. If you're under 16, you don't want them exposed. Cyberbullying is a little bit different. But the issue is people don't understand the threat when they hand over their responsibility, which you pointed out, to the government.
And this is exactly why they're going to do it that way. This is exactly what they did in Australia. They banned it under for the teens under the age of 16 as well. Exactly what Carney's trying to do in Canada. And they always do it in the name of the safety of our children. You know, it's the same thing with the gun bans that they're doing. It all starts, they're always pushing it when they're school shootings. Not that it's a very big, not that that is a massive problem in Canada, because we barely have any. I'm not condoning them, obviously. I'm just saying that It's always a tool that they use. Save the children. What about the children? What can we do about the children? It's always in the name of the children that they're going to pass those bills, because who could be against the cyberbullying of children? Who could be against rotting the brains of our children on social media? Who in their right mind can be against that? And as you pointed out, it is not the responsibility of our government to do that. We should never give that power to the government when it's our power, when it's our responsibility. I'm a parent. I don't want the government to be involved in my life more than fixing the roads. That's what I expect from my government. Protect the borders, fix the fucking road. That's it. All the rest, stay in your lane. I don't need your help. I don't need you to tell me how to live my life. I'm a moral person. But why do you think, and that's a question I have for the people listening, because it's one thing for us to speak about the problems. It's one thing for me to present this and make it sound like Canada's done, that everything's terrible, there's nothing that we can do about this. But this is not why I do this. I do this because the first thing that we need to do in order to wake people up is to educate them, is to show them the problem, is to connect the dots that mainstream media is not going to do for them. That the other content creators, like you look at the so-called conservative content creators out there, they're not connecting those dots. Our politicians, no matter which side of the aisle you're talking about, they're not connecting those dots for you either. So that's why we have to do it. That's why I do it. That's why I want to connect those dots. We need to educate people. But a part that's very important is that we need to talk about it. And starting today, we're kind of modifying the show. We want to hear from you more. We want to be able, and I'm talking to you guys, the listeners. I'm not talking to Payment. I don't want to hear from Payment. Just kidding. I want to hear from you guys. We want to hear from you guys, because it's one thing for me to show the problems and to speak about the problems and to connect the dots. But I want you guys to tell me what you think about this. I want you guys to tell me what we can do about this, because it's not too late for Canada. Granted, it's going to be a hard road. We have a hard road ahead of us, but it's not too late for Canada. There is something that we can do, but we need to educate people. But we also need to be able to bring those intelligent people, the people that care about Canada, in the same room to discuss solutions, and especially how to implement those solutions. Because there's one thing I've learned of 20 years of the corporate world. If you want to fix a problem, put smart people in one room, have them have the hard conversations, and they will eventually figure out what the issue, how to fix that problem. And this is exactly what we need to do in Canada. So guys, I want to hear from you guys. Anything you want to add before we start talking to the people listening?
Yeah, I guess I got another funny alcohol joke. As an alcoholic, they say, the first step is to admit that you have a problem. I think as a citizen, the first step is to admit that you made a mistake in trusting government so much. And then the next step is, how do you want to proceed? Do you, I always say, what kind of a world do you want to live in? How much responsibility do you want as a parent? Are these your children, or are they the state's children?
Damn. Couldn't agree with you more, man. You're absolutely right. We need to take our responsibility back. We need to agree that we're the problem, but that means looking in the mirror. That means looking at ourselves in the mirror and saying we made mistakes. And you know what? It sucks, but I've made a lot of mistakes. And one thing I can guarantee you 3 things in life. There's a God, I'm going to die, and I'm going to make more mistakes. Those are the 3 certainties that I know. Mistakes, I'm going to die, and I'm going to meet God one day. Those are certainties. But before we get to you guys, there is a new, even Payment doesn't know about this, so you're going to learn about it now. But this whole idea to take more comments, to hear from you, I want to push it to the next level. So I was approached by Prairie in the comment section, our new moderator. I'm gonna say it because as of today, she is a moderator. But the show is all about your participation, and I want to take it to the next level. I want you guys to come on the show, not just in the comment section, but I want to do real call-ins just like they do on AM Talk Radio. I absolutely love those things. I used to listen to them for hours a day, but I want to do that with you guys. But I want to do it in a way where it's very simple, that it's not complicated. You don't need any fancy microphones or cameras, just your phone. And Prairie kind of put me to the challenge on Friday. She sent me an email, and as one of our most loyal listeners, she's been there. Man, I don't even remember. She has to have been here for almost a year. It's really that ridiculous. She's always here. So she sent me an email, and here I'm quoting, "Why don't you drop a link in the chat and let us come on and talk?" Basically, she was asking me to let you come on the streaming platform that we use to do the show. It's a possibility, but it's not clean to do it. But I found a solution on how to do it, to copy the model that the old AM radio talk show would use. But I'm going to need you guys' help in order to do that. There's a piece of equipment that is called the Rodecaster Pro 2 that allows that. It allows me to set up an actual line, a hotline, connect it to the device, and I can patch you guys' call through to this platform, and you will be streamed to all our social media. But to make it happen, we need the Rodecaster Pro. And it just happens that it's on sale right now. It's on sale for $819, down from $898. And if we do hit our goal, because it's on sale till the end of the month, till April 30th. And if we do hit our goal, we're going to bring the orphan hotlines, because that's how we're calling it. The Orphans hotline is going to go live, and you guys are going to be able to call in. And instead of just listening to the show, you will be able to shape the show. So if you're interested in supporting this and bringing this show to the next level, go to thepoliticalorphans.com/hotline. You'll see all the information. You see a picture of how beautiful that piece of equipment is. Very sexy stuff, but I'm a nerd, so I appreciate those things. But all to say, guys, if you want to participate, if you want to bring your voice on the show, help us make this a reality, go to thepoliticalorphans.com/hotline. Prairie, thank you, Prairie. She just dropped the link in the comment section so you guys can have it directly. Now, guys, we want to hear from you. So I know, Payman, you identified a bunch of comments. You want to take them? You want to read them? Want to bring them on so we can address them?
Sure. I don't know what your policy is, but when Stu Emson paid, he's got like a paid chat, so I guess we have to bring this up first.
100%. Stu is always tipping us. I always appreciate Stu.
Would you like to read it, or should I?
Go for it, man.
Stu says they could ram through legislation that literally paralyzes opposition and keeps them in power for God knows how long.
Guys, tomorrow, it is April 13th. There are 3 by-elections in Canada. 2 in Toronto, 1 right outside of Montreal, where I am, in a place called Terrebonne. Until this week, they needed the 3 of them in order to get their majority because of all the floor crossings that they've had. But because of the 5th floor crossing that they got this week, they only need 2 of the 3 ridings. Right now, they have the 3 of them, but they don't need the one in Terrebonne. They won it by 1 single vote. Something like 60,000 people voted, and in a recount, they won by 1. But it turned out that Election Canada made mistakes on the envelopes that people used to do pre-registered voting. The postal code was wrong. So a bunch of them, 40 or 60 envelopes, were sent back to the sender. And one of the women that got her letter back actually went to the news and said that she had voted for the Bloc Québécois, which would have equalized the vote between the two. So the Bloc had to go to the Supreme Court of Canada in order to get that recheck, and now they have a by-election. But the point is that they don't even need that riding anymore because they've had a fifth floor crossing. And chances are that by the end of this coming week, the Liberal government will have a majority government because of those floor crossings. And Stu is absolutely right. They will be able to push whatever piece of legislation that they want without needing anybody else to help them or to approve of them. They will be able to ram through C2, C8, C16, C22, C25, and you know that it's just a matter of time before they push another C63, which I am ready to bet that that new social media ban is going to be presented under the new Bill C63, the Online Harms Act, which I'm ready to bet that they're going to not only retable it, but rename it to the Online Protection Act. And they're going to start that digital ID implementation that we spoke about today.
Next question.
Unless you have anything to say, man.
No, I think you covered it pretty well. Trevor Benson, 3488. The ones we should blame are the global news, CBC, and CTV media. That's who's to blame.
We've had that conversation, Trevor. We were talking about this on Thursday, if my memory serves me right. And they are, there's no doubt, like we said last time, there's no doubt that they have their part of responsibility in this. No doubt about it. No questions. But at the same time, just like the parents that look up to the government to implement social media bans because they don't want the responsibility of doing it themselves, of policying their own children by installing something as simple as Net Nanny on the cell phones of their children, which Net Nanny's been around for at least 30 years, man. My mom had that on her communal laptop in the house when I was a teenager to make sure I didn't go to porn sites. But the point is that this technology has been around forever, but just like we can blame mainstream media for the propaganda that they spread, we also have to take responsibility in the fact that we continue watching it and believing it. But I do agree with Trevor that there's no way we should be spending 1.4 to 1.6 billion dollars of taxpayers' money to support CBC. If their content cannot keep them afloat, they should simply die and cease to exist.
My view is there's just another tool in their toolkit for censorship. So you have Bill C22, C8, C9, and the Bill CBC. The CRTC is just another one. Here's one good one from Couples Light. They can't control social media platforms, and like communism, they want to control free speech.
Yes. Did he say they cannot control?
I think what he's trying to say is that because they can't control social media platform and they're communists, they want to control free speech.
Yes, if that's what you intend, if that's what you meant, you're absolutely right. Just look, that's why I brought up the case for Grok. Because even the UK are in speak right now, and Ivan Solomon, our Minister of AI, is in conversation with both ChatGPT after the shooting that happened in Canada a few months back, because they didn't report to the government that young man that shot up, what was it? I can't remember the exact number, but that shot up, that killed his mother, killed his stepbrother, and killed a bunch of his students at his school. ChatGPT had flagged him as a potential threat because of the conversation he was having with their AI, with their chatbot. And because they didn't report it to the government is now blaming them instead of taking responsibility for the fact that they knew who that guy was. They had taken the guns away from that family 2 years prior to the shooting because of his mental health issue. That guy was brought in under the BC Mental Health Act and was under observation. Yet 1 month before the shootings, they gave back. There's a woke judge in BC that forced the police to give back the guns to that family, to that household where that young man lived in. and 2 of the guns, there was 4 guns used in the shootings, 2 at the house, 2 at the school. 2 of those guns were part of the guns that was given back to them. Yet the RCMP and the government, the police, the courts are blaming ChatGPT for not flagging him 1 year prior to the shootings when they knew about this kid in 2023. So yes, you're absolutely right. They will use whatever tools they can get to go after free speech, and that is why they're going after Grok. Because who's the only social media platform right now that's really saying no to government censorship? It's X. But unfortunately for X, Grok is part of X. It's not an outside AI tool like a ChatGPT, a Gemini, or Claude. It's attached to the social media platform. That's why they put in deep fakes in there. Because remember earlier, she wants to go after deep fakes, attacking chatbots, but they're trying to attack Grok because ChatGPT and Gemini is already playing ball with the government.
What was I going to say? It's just they want absolute control. So they come up with all these arguments. Oh, cyberbullying, under 16, the school shooting. They want access to Grok because they cannot live in a world where somebody else controls something. It has to be them. The communism, I know the left doesn't like that word and it's thrown around a lot, but to me, this is absolutely appropriate here.
Actually, you know what? Before you get to the next question, let me ask you this. What do you think is happening? Because one of the conversations that I often bring up or try to bring up, but not too often, is the conspiracy theorist part of things, what people consider conspiracy theories. Because a lot of the arguments that I make, you don't need to be a conspiracy theorist to understand them. This is why I will do so much work to connect the dots, just show you. The information is right there. You don't need to believe that this is a world organized agenda by the very few that are decimating all those rules and new policies throughout the members of their groups that represent those countries that Mark Carney is part of. You don't need to believe that in order to see the information that I'm presenting you. But out of pure curiosity, do you think that there's a global agenda pushing this? Because it seems that all over the West, the same thing is happening at the exact same time using basically identical pieces of legislation. The same speeches, the same words are used time and time again to push the exact same agenda. What's your opinion on this?
It does look like it's global. And if you want to give the benefit of the doubt, you could say maybe it's a global think tank. Just everybody happens to use the same law firm or something. I think this is about taxing the citizens. I think they wanted, in the 60s, they started getting people off the land where they're into the cities where they have a job. And if you have a job and you make a salary, it's easier to tax that than if you get a couple of cows and you got milk for yourself or chickens with eggs for yourself. The tax man can't come into your property and tax that. And then once they tax you, they go out and they get a loan. We call it national debt. And then they pay interest on that loan. That's where the central bankers come into it.
So do you not think that the same people that are behind the central banks are the ones behind this?
Yes. How far do you want to take this?
No, I was just curious because, we haven't recorded a lot of content, you and I. To me, you can literally look on one single picture to identify who's ruling this entire world. And it's all behind the central bank. It's the same people that created the central bank that are creating all the policies that we're seeing right now. It's the same group of people. They've been at it for hundreds and hundreds of years. They're playing the long game, but they finally have, this is the part that should scare the people out there, which is why we need to do something now. That is where we really need to have those conversations. We need to educate the average Canadian, because if 75% of people believe that social media bans are a good idea, is because they don't understand what it actually means. So I will be spending the next few months just talking about this pretty much every day so that the people out there understand what this actually means. Because this is very dangerous, what we're seeing here. And it's, they have the technology right now to literally control us all through AI. They didn't have AI before. So a world government ruled by the very few was not really possible. But AI allows them to do that. Softwares like Palantir allows them to do that. We now have the infrastructure, the technology to make it a reality. All they need is the bills to be passed in order for them to finalize the last steps. And this is what I'm seeing right now.
No, I agree. I could talk with you for hours about this, but do you want me to get to the next question?
Go for it, man.
Here's one from Ethan. Canadians want to become a police state and join the EU. I don't get it.
Yes, and I should have saved the poll. There was a poll that just came out that was showing that something like 60%. Don't quote me on this one because I don't have the poll right in front of me. But I believe that it was 60% of Canadians, as per the poll, wanted to be part of the EU. The EU, sorry. But funny how all the country under the EU are basically pushing the same narrative. You notice? The UK, you look at Germany, you look at all the Scandinavian countries, you look like Poland and Italy. Italy's trying to get out of this whole mess. And Poland is a Christian country. They're like, screw you all. We're going to do our own thing. You guys can do whatever it is that you do. But most of the countries in the EU, France, the UK, look at Ireland, are all pushing the same type of agenda, like mass immigration over the past 5 years being one of the main components of problematics that you're seeing through the EU, and is the same thing here. And you can talk about Australia too, because it falls under the king. But yeah, it's something that you see all over the place. So I'm not surprised that Mark Carney's pushing that agenda, because he's talked about it before. That he wants us. We are more Europeans than we are Americans. Yeah, no, we're not. We're North Americans. If you believe that we're more European than Americans, you need to get out of your house. You need to go explore North America, because I'm sorry, man. There's not much difference between a Canadian and an American. Sorry. I've done 30 states in the US and I've done most states in Canada. There's not much of a difference. We have different accents. There's a lot more guns down south. But at the end of the day, man, there's not that much difference between us. So don't give me this shit that we're like Europeans, because you haven't met Europeans if you believe that we're like them.
You know, this is something I don't understand either, Ethan, because it's so mind-boggling. Like Canada, EU, there's this big body of water between the two. The only thing I can think of is that Canadians, our instinctive hatred for America is so strong that they're like anything but America.
And you know, man, I was bang on. As per the Globe and Mail, nearly 60% of Canadians support becoming a full member of the EU. I was bang on, 60%. It's insane. It's absolute. But you're absolutely right. And I challenge anybody out there. Ask someone that is more of a liberal in your life. Ask them to define what it is to be Canadian. I guarantee you that in their response are going to be the words, "We're not Americans." That should tell you something. That should tell you something.
You know, like take it from any engineer, any scientist, any researcher. You can't define a term based on what it's not.
That should not be. You can start there. Like a man without a penis is not a woman. That is still a man. You can start there if you want, but that should not be your definition. You can start there. You can start your research as in a woman with a penis is not a woman, but that is not the definition of a woman. Not having a penis is not the definition of a woman.
Agreed. We got another great comment. This guy's name, oh my lord, Rusty Wiener says
that dude. Okay, hold on. Rusty is epic. He's always there. We call it Rusty Wiener, but it is not Rusty Wiener. It's Rusty Weiner. But we all call it. No, we refuse to call him. We refuse to call him Rusty Weiner. It is Rusty Wiener. So good job. Thank you for confirming what we've been doing for a year. Rusty Wiener.
This gentleman says, we gave up the responsibility for our own safety. That was the first mistake.
Amen, brother. What's the saying? Those who exchange liberty for safety deserve neither. I'm bastardizing it, but that is the essence of the speech. I don't remember who said it. I think it was Ben Franklin that said something. Somebody a lot smarter than me that could actually repeat 15 words without forgetting. But yep, I agree. 1000% I agree. Rusty, you're absolutely right.
I agree too, and it's led to the growth of the law enforcement sector. And like I'm terrified of cops now. They're not. It's not the neighborhood policing anymore.
Did you see what's happening in Toronto? Because the government gave something like $10 million to some Jewish associations in Toronto to fight anti-Semitism. There were videos I believe it was last weekend, going viral on the social medias where you saw police officers patrolling in the street, full black gear, AR-15s, ready to go, just walking down the street, patrolling, making sure that the place of worship were not being vandalized. Yet, the same government does not want to admit that the dude that just shot up some Jewish restaurant is Muslim. They don't want to address that fact. They don't want to address that over 100 churches over the past 3 years have been burned down or vandalized. Something like 120 churches. Nobody's being found guilty of anything. Their answer to put police officers with AR-15s in the street. This is what Canada's become. Why? Because we keep on letting people in that don't share our values. And then we wonder why we are in the mess that we are right now. But no, let's not address the real problem. Instead, let's turn Canada into a censorship state, into a surveillance state, into a police state. That's the reality we're seeing right now.
Canada's schizophrenic. You're right. Like they don't, they denounce Israel, and yet they send these like militarized police officers to defend the synagogue. They denounce Iran, but then they come to the support of Islam. I don't know what, I think it's in an ad hoc manner. There's just like, who on that day, whoever's donating the most money or whoever's complaining the most.
Well, you know what? That means that Christians are not complaining enough. That's basically what you're saying. If what you're saying is true, we are not complaining enough. We are too lukewarm.
Yeah, I mean, like you had one guy that complained, Artur Pawlowski. They almost killed him in jail and nobody came to his defense.
Same thing with Derek Reimer. He had the audacity to say that libraries should not be hosting trans hours. Like, what is it? It's not trans hours, is oh man, what is it called? They have
Drag Queen Story Hour.
Thank you, Drag Queen Story Hours. He had the audacity to complain about it publicly, and he got arrested. And I think he was in jail. We talk every now and then. I haven't spoken to him in a while, but he's been arrested multiple times. His defense has cost him over $100,000, if I remember correctly. Absolutely insane. Just like Pawlowski, same thing. We had him on the show before. I'm a fan of that guy. That guy understands what communism is all about because he comes from it. And he talks about it all the time. Man, love or hate that guy. Whatever your opinion is of him, whatever you like him or not, you can't deny that he's right. This is the thing with Pawlowski. You might not like him because he's too forward for you. Maybe, I don't know. But it shouldn't matter. Because at the end of the day, he's right. That dude is right, and he had the balls to stand up when other pastors got to their knees So I will always have respect for that guy because he did what a Christian is supposed to do. And he said hell no to our government because their laws were not moral. So good for him.
I can do one more question, and then I got that hard stop, and I'll drop off. Is that okay?
Sounds good. Oh yeah, we're good, man. Show
Uh,
show ends at 8, man. We got 3 minutes.
all right, RB Ham. I know what the problem is. I don't know what the solution is. Waking people up is exhausting. I've been trying for 30 years, but I'll keep trying.
Jason Levine, which will be on the show tomorrow, 7 p.m., told me something months ago that always resonated, stayed with me. Go hug a liberal. If you're conservative, if you consider yourself a conservative, if you consider yourself a political orphan, go hug a liberal, as in it is up to us to extend that olive branch to have that conversation. And this is exactly what this show is all about. This is exactly what the political orphan nonprofit organization that you and I have started is about reaching out to the people that we're being told to hate. Because there's no such thing as a left versus right. There's no such thing. There's Canadians, and then there's the people crushing us from the top. The same people that are trying to censor us, the same people that are trying to take our guns away, the same people that are trying to verify and observe and look at everything that we do. They want to surveillance what we do. Those are the people that are the problem. And it's not a coincidence that it is the same people that are telling us to hate each other. So, brother, educate. You've been doing it for 30 years. You've been doing it for a lot longer than me, but we can't stop doing it because I say this all the time because one of the comments that I always see on my posts is it's too late for Canada. It's too late, Canada's doom. It's not. Let's be honest though. The longer we wait, the harder the road to bring it back is going to be, but it's never too late. And that is the mentality that we need to have. It's never too late. That is exactly why Payman and I created the Political Orphans nonprofit organization, because the last thing Canada need is more politicians. What we need is more leaders, a next generation of leaders that will put Canada first. So if you do not want to do, you do not know what to do, join us. Join the citizen-led movement that will be putting the smart Canadians, the Canadians that care about Canada, in the same room so that we can find those solutions, because the way to change Canada is one community at a time. So we need Canadians from across the country to sit down with us, to have those hard conversations, and together we can find those solutions. So stop complaining, start leading, join us today at thepoliticalorphans.com. Become a member, join our community, and let's have those conversations. On that note, Payman, thank you for being here. It was awesome recording with you. We definitely need to do this again. And for the new viewers, hopefully you like, you comment, you subscribe. We really want you guys to comment, come back, because this is what we do. Starting today, we will have 30 minutes. Every show, half of the show will be talking to you, taking your question, taking your comments. And soon, guys, if you want to be part of the show, support the new equipment that we need to bring you guys in. Go again, thepoliticalorphans.com/hotline. On that note, guys, thank you for being here, and we will see you tomorrow, 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Until then, peace.